Chief Engineer Do-hyun's boots made soft thuds against the metal floor as he walked through the quiet halls of the ISS Prometheus. The ship's night cycle was in full effect, with most of the crew sleeping in their quarters. He liked these peaceful moments when he could check on his beloved engines without any interruptions. The Prometheus was humanity's pride, their first faster-than-light spaceship. Do-hyun had helped build her from the ground up, and he knew every bolt and wire in her massive frame. The ship stretched over a kilometer in length, its sleek silver hull housing the most advanced technology humans had ever created. As he approached the main engine room, something felt wrong. The usual soft hum of the quantum drive was different. Instead of its smooth, steady sound, he heard an uneven whine that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. "Computer, lights at full power," Do-hyun called out. The engine room blazed with light, and his heart nearly stopped. The quantum drive's crystalline matrix, the heart of their faster-than-light technology, lay in pieces. Its beautiful blue crystals were shattered, with fragments scattered across the floor like broken glass. "No, no, no," he whispered, rushing to the control panel. His fingers flew across the screen as he tried to understand what had happened. The damage wasn't from an accident or malfunction. It was too precise, too deliberate. Do-hyun grabbed his communicator. "Bridge, this is Chief Engineer Do-hyun. We have an emergency. Wake the captain. Now." 10 minutes later, Captain Hanbit stood in the engine room, his usually calm face showing rare signs of worry. The captain was still wearing his sleek clothes under his uniform jacket, but his mind was fully alert. "How bad is it?" Hanbit asked, looking at the destroyed drive. "Very bad, sir," Do-hyun replied, pointing to the main display screen. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. They targeted the most critical parts of the system. "We're stuck here, billions of kilometers from the nearest human outpost." Security Chief Min-soo stepped forward, her tablet displaying footage from the engine room's cameras. "Sir, I found something you need to see." The video showed 3 Rixian diplomats during their cultural tour of the ship the day before. The aliens looked almost human, except for their silver-tinted skin and slightly larger eyes. In the footage, while one Rixian talked to the engineering guide, another quietly released something from his hand. Tiny dots, barely visible, floated through the air toward the quantum drive. "Nanobots," Do-hyun said, his voice hard with anger. "They used our hospitality to plant sabotage devices." Captain Hanbit's face turned dark with fury, but his voice remained steady. "Where are the Rixian diplomats now?" "In their guest quarters, sir," Min-soo answered. "They've requested to leave the ship first thing in the morning, claiming urgent business." "I bet they have," Hanbit said. "Min-soo, place them under house arrest. Politely. Tell them it's for their own safety due to a technical problem we're investigating." Dr. Suji, the ship's quantum physicist, arrived next. She was still wearing her lab coat, her long black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Without a word, she went straight to the broken drive and began scanning it with her instruments. "The Rixians were scared," she said after a few minutes, not looking up from her work. "Our quantum drive design was different from theirs. Maybe better. They couldn't risk us developing it further." Do-hyun joined her by the drive, his own scanners picking up unusual readings. "Suji, look at this," he said, pointing to his screen. "These energy signatures from the nanobots. They're still active." Suji's eyes widened as she looked at the data. "This is fascinating," she said, her voice growing excited. "The way these nanobots work, it's incredible. They're not just destroying our technology. They're scanning it, analyzing it. Do-hyun, I think we can learn from this." Captain Hanbit walked over to them. "What do you mean?" Suji looked up, her eyes bright with possibility. "The Rixians didn't just give us a problem, Captain. They might have accidentally given us a solution. These nanobots bridge the gap between quantum mechanics and regular engineering in a way we've only dreamed about, if we can understand how they work." We might be able to build something better. Do-hyun finished, catching her excitement. Captain, request permission to start a full analysis of these nanobots. We'll need to pull in Lieutenant Commander Taiwan from the AI department too. These things have some very sophisticated programming. Hanbit looked at his two senior technical officers, then at the destroy drive. A small smile appeared on his face. The Rixians think they've stranded us here. They expect us to sit quietly and wait for help. He straightened his uniform jacket. I say we show them why you should never underestimate humans. You have my permission. Use whatever resources you need. As the captain left to deal with their guests, Do-hyun and Soo-jae began their work. They carefully collected samples of the nanobots, setting up containment fields to study them safely. Young engineering officer Jae-hyun joined them, bringing fresh eyes and unconventional ideas to their investigation. Hour after hour, they worked. They discovered that the nanobots weren't just weapons. They were sophisticated research tools that had recorded detailed data about human quantum drive technology. But more importantly, the nanobots themselves used principles that human scientists had only theorized about. Look at this, Jae-hyun said, pointing to a simulation on her screen. The way these things handle quantum states, it's like they're dancing between realities. We've never seen anything like it. Do-hyun nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. If we can understand this, we might be able to do more than just fix the drive. We might be able to make it better. Much better. Soo-jae was already drawing diagrams, her fingers flying across her tablet. The Rixians were so focused on destroying our technology, they didn't consider what would happen if we studied their sabotage devices. This could advance our understanding by decades. As the ship's day cycle began, more crew members arrived to help. The engine room became a hub of activity, with engineers and scientists working together to unlock the secrets of the alien technology. They set up new equipment, ran countless tests, and filled displays with data and theories. Do-hyun took a moment to look around at his team. Everyone was tired, but their eyes were bright with purpose. He saw Jae-hyun explaining her ideas to two senior engineers, her hands moving quickly as she spoke. Soo-jae was deep in discussion with Taiwan about the nanobot programming, while other crew members carefully mapped every piece of the destroyed drive. His communicator beeped. A message from Captain Hanbit. The Rixians are demanding to leave. Their ships will be here in 48 hours. How long do you need? Do-hyun looked at his team, then at the progress they'd made in just a few hours. He smiled as he typed his reply. Time enough, Captain. They wanted to teach us a lesson. Let's show them what kind of students humans can be. He turned back to his work, knowing that the next 2 days would test them all. But as he watched Soo-jae make another breakthrough in understanding the nanobot technology, he felt a surge of pride. The Rixians had tried to clip humanity's wings. Instead, they might have just taught them how to soar higher than ever before. The destroyed quantum drive glittered under the bright lights, its broken crystals scattered across the floor. But among those shattered pieces, Do-hyun could already see the seeds of something new growing. Something that would show the galaxy exactly what humans could do when pushed into a corner. He picked up his tools and joined Soo-jae at her workstation. They had a lot to do, and not much time to do it. But that was okay. Humanity had always done its best work under pressure. The real question wasn't whether they could solve this problem. The real question was just how far beyond the Rixians' understanding would their solution go. The clock on the engine room wall showed 20 hours since they had discovered the sabotage. Do-hyun rubbed his tired eyes, but he couldn't stop working. Not when they were so close to understanding something amazing. Look at this, Soo-jae said, pointing to her screen. She had dark circles under her eyes, but her voice was full of excitement. The nanobots don't just destroy things. They learn from what they touch. They stored complete scans of our quantum drive design. Do-hyun moved closer to look. The screen showed complex patterns that the nanobots had recorded. Can we read this data? He asked. Better than that. Soo-jae smiled. We can compare it to their own technology. The nanobots have their own working systems inside them, tiny versions of Rixian quantum technology. It's like having a complete guide to how they think about physics. Lieutenant Commander Ta-1 spoke up from his workstation. He had been studying the nanobot programming for hours. "These things are smart," he said. "Really smart. They don't just follow simple commands. They can solve problems and adapt to new situations." "Like tiny AIs?" Jia-Yun asked, looking up from her own work. Tai-1 nodded. "Something like that. But here's what's interesting. They're not as advanced as they could be. The Rixians were so sure their basic technology would be enough to beat us, they didn't bother making these nanobots very sophisticated." Captain Hanbit entered the engine room, looking fresh despite the early hour. "Report," he said simply. Do-hyun straightened up. "Sir, we've made several breakthroughs. The nanobots recorded everything about our quantum drive. But more importantly, we can study how their own technology works." "And?" the captain asked. Sujai stepped forward. "The Rixians use quantum mechanics differently than we do. Their method is more stable but less powerful. They chose safety over speed. But if we combine their stable approach with our more ambitious design," her eyes sparkled with possibility. Jia-Yun couldn't contain her excitement. "We could make something better than either design," she burst out. Then she remembered she was talking to the captain and added a quick, "Sir." Hanbit smiled at her enthusiasm. "Explain." Jia-Yun pulled up a diagram on the main screen. "Look here, sir. Human quantum drives punch through spacetime like a needle through cloth. Fast but risky. The Rixian drives fold spacetime gently, like origami. Slower but safer." She pointed to a new design she had sketched. "But what if we could do both?" Do-hyun picked up her explanation. "The nanobots showed us how Rixian technology creates stable quantum fields. If we combine that with our more powerful approach." He paused, looking for simple words. "Imagine a needle that can also fold the cloth it's piercing. Fast and safe together." The captain studied the diagram. "Can we build it?" "Yes," Suji said firmly. "But we'll need to basically rebuild the entire drive. And we'll have to solve problems no one has ever faced before." "How long?" Do-hyun did some quick calculations. "Maybe 30 hours if everything goes perfectly. The Rixian ships will be here in 28. Hanbit was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. "Well then, you better work fast. I'll keep our guests busy with diplomatic talks and safety procedures." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and one more thing. Whatever you build, make sure it's impressive. I want those Rixians to remember this for a long time." After the captain left, the team got back to work with new energy. They split into groups, each tackling a different part of the challenge. Sujai led the quantum physics team, working out the theory behind their new hybrid drive. Do-hyun handled the practical engineering, figuring out how to actually build the thing. Tai-1 focused on creating new control systems that could handle the complex quantum fields. Jia-Yun moved between the groups, her fresh perspective helping solve problems the others got stuck on. When Suji's team couldn't figure out how to stabilize a particular quantum field, Jia-Yun suggested treating it like a wave in a pool instead of a particle in space. When Do-hyun's engineers couldn't get two systems to work together, she drew inspiration from old Earth submarines to create a new cooling system. The hours ticked by. They faced problem after problem, but each solution taught them more about both human and Rixian technology. Sometimes they failed, spectacularly. One test burned out 3 power relays. Another created a small quantum field that turned a wrench temporarily into a quantum probability cloud. But they learned from every mistake. "This is incredible," Suji said during a short break. She was looking at data from their latest test. "We're not just copying their technology. We're improving it." The Rixians never thought to combine these principles because they were too careful, too traditional in their thinking. Human creativity with alien stability, Do-hyun agreed. We're building something entirely new. Taiwan called them over to his station. You need to see this, he said, pointing to his screen. I've been running simulations of the full hybrid drive. If these numbers are right. He paused, double-checking his calculations. We won't just match Rixian FTL speeds. We'll beat them. By a lot. The team gathered around his display, watching as the simulation showed their hybrid drive in action. The combination of human and Rixian principles created something beautiful. A quantum field that was both powerful and precise, aggressive and controlled. How fast? Jai-Yun whispered, her eyes wide. At least 5 times faster than our old drive. Taiwan said. Maybe 10 times faster than standard Rixian ships. And that's just the basic design. Once we refine it. Their excitement was interrupted by an alert from the bridge. The Rixian ships had increased speed. They would arrive in 20 hours, not 28. They're getting nervous, Du Hyun said. They probably expected us to send distress calls by now. Instead, we've been quiet. Good, Suji said, her tired face showing determination. Let them worry. We've got the hard part figured out. Now we just need to build it. The team went back to work with renewed purpose. As Du Hyun directed the construction of the new drive components, he felt pride in his crew. In just a few hours, they had taken a disaster and turned it into an opportunity. They had faced alien sabotage and responded with innovation. The destroyed quantum drive still lay in pieces on the floor, a reminder of how this all started. But next to it, something new was taking shape, something that would show the Rixians and the rest of the galaxy what humans could really do. 20 hours. They had 20 hours to build the impossible. Du Hyun looked at his team, engineers, scientists, and problem solvers all working together. He smiled. 20 hours would be plenty of time. After all, humanity had always done its greatest work when someone told them something was impossible. Time was running out. With 15 hours left until the Rixian ships arrive, the engine room of the ISS Prometheus looked like a war zone. Tools and equipment covered every surface. Engineers worked in teams, building new components for their hybrid drive. The air smelled of ozone and hot metal, and the sound of construction filled the massive space. Do Hyun stood at the main control panel, watching power readings from their first major test. Next to him, Suji monitored quantum field patterns while Jai-Yun adjusted power flow settings. The new drive core glowed with a soft blue light, getting brighter as they increased power. Field stability at 60%, Suji reported. Her voice was tense. 70%, 80%. A loud crack interrupted her. Sparks flew from one of the power conduits, and warning alarms began to sound. Shut it down, Du Hyun ordered. Jai-Yun's fingers flew across her controls, cutting power to the drive. The blue glow faded, and the alarms went quiet. Taiwan walked over from his station, looking at the readings. The quantum field collapsed when we tried to merge it with the power system, he said. The energies aren't matching up properly. Do Hyun ran his hands through his hair in frustration. This was their third failed test in 2 hours. They were trying to make human technology work with alien principles, and it wasn't easy. Every time they thought they had solved one problem, 2 more appeared. Maybe we're thinking about this wrong, Jai-Yun said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. The young engineer was staring at the failed drive with a thoughtful expression. We keep trying to make our power system match their quantum field. What if we did it the other way around? Suji's eyes widened. Adapt the quantum field to match our power signature instead of the opposite. She quickly pulled up new calculations on her screen. That could work. The Rixian technology is more flexible than ours. If we modify the field generators, we could shape the quantum field to match our power curve. Du Hyun finished, catching their excitement. Jai-Yun, you're brilliant. Taiwan, can you reprogram the field controllers to handle that? Taiwan was already heading back to his station. On it. Give me an hour. The next hour was intense. While Ta-Won worked on the programming, Do-hyun and his engineering team modified the field generators. Soo-ji and her physicists calculated the exact field shapes they would need. Jae-yun moved between the groups, helping solve problems and keeping everything coordinated. Captain Hanbit visited briefly to check their progress. The Rixians are getting impatient, he told them. They've asked 7 times to speak with their delegation. I told them our communication system is having problems due to the drive malfunction. How did they take that? Do-hyun asked. The captain smiled. They don't believe me, of course, but they can't prove anything without admitting what they did to our ship. So they wait, and they worry. He looked at the work in progress. How close are we? We're about to test the new configuration, Do-hyun said. If it works. When it works, Jae-yun corrected firmly. Hanbit smiled at her confidence and left them to their tasks. Finally, everything was ready for another test. The modified field generators hummed with power. New control systems monitored every aspect of the process. The engineering team triple-checked every connection and component. Beginning power-up sequence, Do-hyun announced. 10%, 20%. The drive core began to glow again, but this time the light was different. A deeper, richer blue with hints of purple. Soo-ji watched her quantum field readings closely. Field is forming. Stability holding. 60% power. Jae-yun monitored the power systems. Power curve matching quantum field shape. Everything looking good. 70%. The ship's lights flickered slightly as they drew more power. 80%. Do-hyun called out. The drive's glow was brilliant now, filling the engine room with its light. 90%. Everyone held their breath. This was where the last test had failed. Field stability still holding, Soo-ji reported. Her voice shook slightly with excitement. Quantum power synchronization at 95%, 98, 100%. The drive hummed with power, its light steady and strong. No alarms sounded. No sparks flew. The quantum field merged perfectly with the power system, creating something entirely new. A hybrid of human and alien technology working in perfect harmony. We did it, Jae-yun whispered. Then louder, we did it. The engine room erupted in cheers. Engineers hugged each other. Scientists who had worked for days without rest smiled through their exhaustion. They had achieved something unprecedented, not just repairing their drive, but creating something far beyond its original capabilities. But Do-hyun knew they couldn't celebrate for long. Okay, everyone, he called out. This was just the first step. Now we need to scale it up to full size and install it in the main drive housing. We've got 12 hours left. Let's make them count. The team went back to work with new energy. The successful test had proven their idea would work, but they still had to build the full-scale version. It was like going from a working model to the real thing. Everything had to be bigger, stronger, and perfectly balanced. As they worked, Do-hyun noticed something interesting. The hybrid drive wasn't just working. It was working better than their calculations had predicted. The quantum fields were more stable, the power flow more efficient. It was as if the human and alien technologies weren't just cooperating. They were enhancing each other. Look at these efficiency readings, Soo-ji said, showing him her latest data. The quantum field is actually strengthening our power system, and our power system is making the quantum field more stable. They're working together in ways the Rixians never imagined. Hours passed as they built the full-scale drive. Every component had to be perfect. The engineering team worked in shifts, with Do-hyun and Jae-yun checking every installation personally. Soo-ji and her physicists fine-tuned the quantum field settings, while Ta-Won's programming team perfected the control systems. They faced more problems, of course. A power coupling burned out during testing. A field generator needed emergency repairs. The main computer crashed twice while trying to handle the complex calculations, but each time they found solutions. Human ingenuity combined with alien technology in new and surprising ways. With 6 hours left until the Rixian ships arrived, the new hybrid drive was nearly complete. It filled the engine room with its presence, larger and more powerful than the original drive had ever been. Its steady blue-purple glow reflected off the tired but proud faces of the crew who had built it. Do-hyun stood with his team, looking at their creation. In just a few days, they had taken a disaster and turned it into triumph. They had faced alien sabotage and responded with innovation. They had been handed destruction and created something wonderful instead. "Start final power-up sequence," he ordered. It was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The bridge of the ISS Prometheus was quiet except for the soft beeping of computers. Captain Hanbit sat in his command chair, watching the main screen. It showed 3 Rixian ships approaching, their silver hulls gleaming in the starlight. They were less than an hour away now. "Engineering, status report." Hanbit called over the ship's communication system. "Final tests are complete, Captain," Do-hyun's voice replied. He sounded tired but proud. "The hybrid drive is running perfectly. Better than perfectly, actually. It's exceeding all our expectations." Suji's voice joined in. "Sir, the quantum field readings are amazing. We're seeing power levels we didn't think were possible. The combination of human and Rixian technology has created something entirely new." The captain smiled. "Good work, everyone. Stand by for my signal." He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the lead Rixian ship." The main screen changed to show the Rixian commander. Like all his people, he had silver-tinted skin and large eyes. He wore an elaborate uniform covered in symbols of rank. "Captain Hanbit," the Rixian said, his voice smooth but cold. "We have come to assist with your technical difficulties." "How thoughtful of you," Hanbit replied calmly. "But I'm afraid there has been a misunderstanding. We don't need any help. In fact, we've made some interesting improvements to our ship." The Rixian commander's face didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Improvements? With a destroyed quantum drive? Please, Captain, don't waste our time with games. We know exactly what condition your ship is in." "Do you?" Hanbit asked. He pressed a button on his chair. "Engineering, start the drive." Deep in the engine room, Do-hyun and his team began the power-up sequence. The hybrid drive hummed to life, its blue-purple glow filling the massive space. Power flowed through new circuits, and quantum fields formed in patterns never seen before. On the bridge, displays showed energy readings climbing higher and higher. The Rixian commander's eyes widened as he saw the numbers. "Impossible," he whispered. "Your drive was destroyed. We saw the confirmation." He stopped, realizing what he had just admitted. Hanbit's smile grew wider. "Did you? How interesting that you knew about our drive's condition without us telling you. But you're right about one thing. Our old drive was destroyed. This is something new." Jae-yun's voice came over the communication system. "Quantum field stability at 100%, Captain. Ready for full power whenever you want." The Rixian commander was staring at his own displays in disbelief. "These readings, they can't be right. You're using quantum field configurations that shouldn't be possible. You can't have figured out how to combine human and Rixian technology." Hanbit finished for him. "Why not? Your sabotage gave us a wonderful chance to study your methods. We learned so much from those clever little nanobots you left behind. Would you like to see what we've done with that knowledge?" Without waiting for an answer, Hanbit gave the order. "Engineering, take us out. Let's show our friends what the new drive can do." The hybrid drive's hum deepened. Energy surged through the ship as quantum fields wrapped around the hull. The stars on the main screen began to blur as the Prometheus moved. Not slowly, like Rixian ships. Not even at the speed of its old drive. The ship leaped forward like an arrow, leaving the Rixian vessels far behind in seconds. "Quantum field holding steady," Sujai reported excitedly. "Power flow is smooth. The drive is performing exactly as designed. Actually, no, better than designed. We're seeing efficiency levels 30% above our calculations. Taiwan's voice joined in. The control systems are handling everything perfectly. The quantum power synchronization is complete. We could maintain this speed for weeks without strain. The Rixian commander's face showed complete shock. His silver skin had turned almost white. "This is not possible," he said again. "Our experts said it would take decades to achieve this level of quantum control. You couldn't have done this in a few days." "Your experts were wrong," Hanbit said simply. "They thought they understood human capabilities. They thought sabotaging our ship would stop our progress. Instead, you gave us exactly what we needed to make a leap forward." He gestured to the readings on the screen. "Look at these numbers, Commander. Our new hybrid drive doesn't just match Rixian technology, it surpasses it. The quantum fields are more stable than yours. The power system's more efficient. We took your principles of careful control and combined them with human creativity and ambition." The Prometheus slowed and turned gracefully, the quantum fields adjusting smoothly. They faced the Rixian ships again, but now everyone could see the difference. The human ship's hull glowed softly with quantum energy, its new drive humming with power that the Rixians had thought impossible. "So," Hanbit said to the still shocked commander, "shall we discuss the future of human-Rixian relations? I think it's time for a new agreement, one based on mutual respect and cooperation, not fear and sabotage." The commander could only nod slowly, his earlier arrogance completely gone. The display showed his ships moving back slightly, as if afraid of the Prometheus now. How quickly things had changed. In the engine room, Du-hyun looked at his team with pride. They were exhausted from days of non-stop work, but their faces shone with happiness. They had done more than fix their ship. They had proven that humanity deserved its place among the stars. Suji was already making notes about ways to improve the hybrid drive further. Jai-yun was explaining her ideas for new applications of the technology to anyone who would listen. Even tired as they were, their minds kept working, thinking of new possibilities. "You know what the best part is?" Taiwan said, looking at the drive's performance readings. "The Rixians will go home and tell everyone about this. They'll report that humans took their best technology, improved it, and built something new in just a few days. No one will dare underestimate us again." Do-hyun nodded, smiling. The destroyed parts of their old drive still lay in one corner of the engine room. He would keep them as a reminder, not of the sabotage, but of what humans could achieve when challenged. The Rixians had tried to stop human progress. Instead, they had only proved why humanity would always move forward, no matter what stood in their way. The hybrid drive's glow filled the engine room with its steady light. It was more than just a piece of technology now. It was a symbol of human determination and creativity. A reminder that every obstacle could become an opportunity if you were brave enough to try something new. Above all, it was proof that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their machines or their science. It was in their ability to take something meant to destroy them and turn it into something wonderful instead. The stars waited outside, bright and full of possibility. And now, thanks to human ingenuity and determination, the Prometheus could fly faster and farther than ever before. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do.